Hey guys, a couple of things to talk about today. Not all of it's real good. We have to do what might be our last giveaway. Not really sure. We never know what the future holds, but it might be our last giveaway. We need to talk about no more comments on YouTube. Nothing new there either. But also about some nice people and some nice things, and thank some nice people, and talk about some other stuff as well. So we'll get into it. The first thing we need to do, we owed some people on Patreon some books, and we'd promised people that one of the benefits of being in a certain tier on Patreon was that we would send them a signed copy of our book, our How to Do Stuff in Japan book. And because of some problems, one was the publisher actually rebuilt their website over the last couple of months and totally failed at it, and half their websites disappeared, and they've told us that they've messed it up really badly, and half the websites disappeared, so people can't buy our book online anymore from them. You can buy the book from Amazon, by the way, so you can still get it on Amazon, but the publisher's website's just totally destroyed. So it's hard, we can't order books from them, and then if we do order books from them, there's no airmail at the moment in or out of Japan. So, and then if we do manage to get the books, which doesn't look like we can, if we then sign them and then try to send them to people, there's no email out of Japan, no airmail out of Japan, in which case it would take forever to get to them anyway. So the end result was, even if we could do it, which we don't think we can, it would take months anyway. So what we did was we sent messages to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 people, and said to them, we're really sorry, we owe you a book. How would you feel about an ebook instead? And you know, every one of those people said, yeah, no problem. Isn't that amazing? Because really we're obliged to do it. We said we would, we're obliged to do it. Every one of them said, no, ebook's fine, thank you very much. And so we sent them a copy of the ebook. So we really appreciate that. And we're not into shout outs and stuff. That's not the style of this channel, as you guys know. However, thank you very much for your understanding. We're not going to give people's full names because we don't know how people feel about that. Brian M, John B, George, Roy W, Trixie B, Christian, Kenneth and Sue B. To you guys, thank you very much for your understanding. Thank you very much for your support on Patreon. If it wasn't for you guys on Patreon and the other people on Patreon, 193 people on Patreon, we would not be still making videos, or we would not still be posting photos of Japan, because we'd have to be having another part-time job. Particularly the way things are at the moment, half of our normal working income has disappeared, and we're actually earning less now than we need every month to survive. So the result of that is it's a good news, bad news story. From your point of view, it's probably a good news story, because what that means is we're putting a lot more time now into taking photos and videos, and making more of an effort to increase the quantity and quality of the photos and the videos that we're taking. The editing and the quality of the photography and stuff is still crap. Right? Didn't mean we're improving our professionalism or the quality of our work, just meaning spending more time when we see something that you guys might be interested in. We're taking more time to actually take photos of it or take videos of it, and putting more time into trying to be more places and see more things. And particularly we're finding people are enjoying things like this. You know, some of you guys are stuck in your homes and you're not getting to get outside at all, so we've been posting a lot more videos of scenes like this, just to give some of you guys a bit of an escape. And we know that there are a few people out there that have been enjoying the videos and the photos of scenes like this, just to give you something nice to think about, and a bit of a different experience from what some of you are experiencing at the moment, you know. So again, just to keep everything in perspective, you know, we know that some people's lives are really hard at the moment. So you know, we're struggling to pay our bills, and we're struggling in some ways. But when we compare our lives at the moment to what a lot of other people are experiencing, we're obviously, you know, in a much better situation, aren't we? So we're really grateful for that, and that's motivating us as, even more to try and do the right thing by you guys. So that's that. Those people that we just named there have all been given copies of our ebook. Anybody else who wants a copy of our ebook, you can find our Japan channel on Amazon. You can get the ebook through there. It's about $9. So it's How to Do Stuff in Japan. You can still get the hard copy book through Amazon too. No idea how that works, but you still can. They managed to get it from the publisher when we can't. No idea how that works. So the reason it might be the last of the giveaways is Patreon sent us a message and said that 17 countries have suddenly decided that Patreon might be taxable, that the contributions that people make to us on Patreon might be taxable. 17 countries have suddenly decided that, which we find a little bit unusual. And from the 1st of July, tax might be applied to some of the contributions that are made by people. Now, we looked into it a little bit further, and it turns out that if contributions are made to channels just straight out to support the channel, and there's no financial benefit to you guys, the tax is not usually applicable in most of those 17 countries. So in other words, if we give you stuff, like what we've been doing, where we've been giving people the ebook, or we've been giving people the hard copy book, or we've been just sending people teapots and coffee cups and sake bottles and random things like that, those things we've been giving you, the little packs of stuff we've been giving you, according to these new rules, are taxable, which means we'd send somebody something, and then there's a good chance that Patreon could then dock them for the tax value of that thing, right? So we sort of looked into it to try and find how to do it. Patreon have brought in a system where we can value all the things that we put in our benefits on Patreon, and that system's rubbish. And we actually sent them an email and said, that system is rubbish, it doesn't work, it's not going to work. And they sort of basically said they knew that, or they're working on it or something, but it's just rubbish. So our conclusion in the end, you'll notice if you look on our Patreon page now, all the benefits from the benefit list have been removed, except it says something like, access to our exclusive videos and photos. So you can still have that, because that's not any financial value, right? So you can still have that, but anything else that gives you financial value. So for example, the discounts, we're giving people on Patreon vouchers for discounts from different companies, like the snack company and companies like that. Those discounts would then be taxable as well, which means that they could take tax from you for those benefits that you got. So the end result would be, it'd cost our patrons money, and we imagine it would be hassle, because anytime you get a tax situation like that, there's always hassle involved as well, isn't there? So obviously we don't want to subject people to that just because they're giving us stuff. So the solution we came to in the end was, we've removed anything from Patreon that might have any financial value. So we won't give anybody anything, and that means that theoretically there should be no tax payable by anybody, and that should be the end of that problem. That should have solved that. And then we still want to give our patrons benefit though. I mean, obviously most of our patrons tell us that they support us just because they want us to continue doing what we're doing. They want us to continue making videos and continue taking photos, showing stuff from Japan, and that's why they support the channel, and we appreciate that, we understand that. But we still feel like our patrons deserve something a bit extra, so what we're going to try and do is just post a few more exclusive things on Patreon, a few more exclusive photos, and maybe the occasional exclusive video on Patreon. Interestingly, we did do a few exclusive videos at the start, and only about 5 or 6 people were watching them. So we sort of backed off that a bit, but yeah, so we'll continue, just checking our time, we're not running out of time here. So yeah, we'll continue to do as much exclusive stuff on Patreon as we can. And again, you know, before the coronavirus came along, Patreon was really important to us, you know, because if it wasn't for Patreon and the support from our patrons on Patreon, we wouldn't have been able to continue with the channel. We wouldn't be able to continue making videos or taking photos and doing what we're doing. We'd have to spend more time at work, and we've been saying that all the way along. However, since the virus, our real income has dropped by about half and is way below what we need just to survive. So Patreon, instead of being our part-time job, has sort of become more important than our full-time job at the moment, and that's the other reason we're putting more time into it, because it's even more important to us, and it's sort of allowing us to pay our urgent bills and leave some of the more not urgent ones with the more understanding creditors until later. Hopefully after the virus passes, we'll be able to get more work again, more real work again, and increase our incomes again. But the bottom line is, in the meantime though, that support on Patreon, as well as allowing us to take the videos and the photos, has allowed us to live, allowed us to pay the essential bills, and allow us to continue doing living, continue getting by, you know, which no doubt a few of you out there would appreciate. There'll be a few other people out there in the same situation, no doubt, you know. So look, to you guys on Patreon again, thank you very much. Anybody who's not on Patreon already, please consider joining us on there. Some of the patrons have actually stepped up their support over the last couple of months. We really, really appreciate that too. So thank you to all you guys. The other things we've got to cover is, the PayPal option. There are a couple of people out there who don't like Patreon or prefer just to use their PayPal accounts directly. And those people have been just sending us contributions once a month through PayPal. That's most welcome too, of course. We accept support from any direction in any way you can think of, but you know, PayPal certainly, you know, we welcome any support through PayPal as well. Patreon is easier for us as far as tracking everybody and knowing what, you know, because it's designed, Patreon's designed for that sort of support and that sort of contribution, so it is easier for us to keep track through Patreon, so that's our preference. But those of you who prefer to use PayPal directly, by all means, we love to have your support through PayPal as well, so that's always an option for other people as well if you're interested. The other one was YouTube comments. So recently, YouTube comments were active again for a while. It happens now and again. We get a few days where the comments on the videos will stay there and not disappear for a day or two, or 3 or 4 days we had recently, and then they disappeared, and then a couple more reappeared, and then they disappeared again. And some people have a theory that there's someone in YouTube that's vindictive towards us, and that, you know, on their days off, that's why the comments stay up, and then when they come back to the office, they delete them all again. We don't know if that's right or not. We suspect it's just their system is just inconsistent, because it usually is. But it had been a while since we actually contacted Creator Support. Creator Support, that's a funny name. But anyway, it had been a while since we'd tried to contact them and ask them the question. And some of you might remember we tried a few times last year, and, you know, can you turn our comments back on? And you know, and they'd send us that response. You know, to protect the children, we've disabled comments on tens of millions of videos. This does not mean that you've done anything wrong or you've been penalised in any way, but we're just turning your comments off, right? And the result of having the comments turned off has been it dropped in our views, drop in our subscribers. It's actually cost us a few patrons as well who didn't like the fact they couldn't comment on our videos. So it does penalise us. YouTube say it doesn't penalise us. It does, but they say it's not our fault. It's just been done to protect the children. So last year, a few times we sent them emails and said, look, you know, kids don't watch. You can see our demographic, our statistics of the people who watch our videos. Almost nobody under 20 watches our videos because we're too boring, right? They prefer the cool people to watch. So we're way not cool enough for the young people. So kids don't watch our videos, and kids don't feature in our videos. So there's no protecting of the kids to be done on our channel, you know. And last year, a few times we sent emails and said that to YouTube. Look, you can see for yourself, kids don't watch our videos, kids are not in our videos, please turn our comments back on. And then we get the cut and paste answer. To protect the children, comments have been turned off on tens of millions of videos. This is, you know, you've done nothing wrong and you've not been penalised in any way, right? So we sort of gave up on even trying to talk to YouTube. But just this week, because we're getting ready to make this video, just thought, no, we'll try again, just see what they say, and sent YouTube's Creator Support, sent Creator Support an email and said, you know, exactly what we say every time. Look, there's no kids featured in our videos, there's no kids watching our videos or commenting on our videos, kids are not interested in our videos, please turn our comments back on. And a couple of days later, received an email, and it said, oh, we understand your concern about your comments. I've researched your problem, and I've found this. In order to protect the children, comments on tens of millions of videos have been turned off. You've not been penalised in any way. So in other words, he's pretended that he's done something. You know, I've researched your problem. So this must be Leroy. Leroy was the dude's name. Leroy's start of his email. So the usually creative support emails, the first sentence is different. Sometimes is different. You know, thanks for reaching out. They always say that. Thanks for reaching out. Thanks for reaching out, Leroy. They always start, thanks for reaching out, and then they say something else. So Leroy said, thanks for reaching out. You know, I've researched your problem, and then the cut and paste. And then there's the same cut and paste that we got a year ago. So obviously what they're doing is anytime anybody sends an email to creator support and says, my comments have been turned off, they just send that cut and paste. You know, to protect the children, comments to tens of millions of videos have been turned off. You know, you've not been penalised in any way, you've done nothing wrong. So obviously, as we predicted, you know, 18 months ago when this problem first arose, it's not going to be fixed because it's impossible. They're using the system, they've turned off the comments of tens of millions of videos. They don't have the manpower or the time or the motivation to go through every channel and decide which one should be left off and which ones should be turned back on. They just don't want to do that, right? It would cost them millions of dollars probably in man hours, and they don't give a shit. Basically, the important people to them are the ones that make lots of money. And like we told you, there's a guy that we know in Japan who's got a channel bigger than ours who makes lots of money, and he just contacted his content manager at YouTube and said, hey, they turned my comments off. And the guy went, oh, sorry about that, and turned them back on for him straight away. And that's what they do. And that's why when you look at those big YouTubers that make millions of dollars, they make millions of dollars, and because of them, YouTube make millions of dollars. So when they have a problem like that, their personal content manager sends them a real email and actually does something. But for the plebs like us, you know, for the unimportant people like us, we're just a number, and they don't have the time or the motivation. They're not interested, so they just send us that same cut and paste. So that's basically what we predicted 18 months ago, that it wasn't going to change, it wasn't going to be resolved. The only way they could possibly fix it would be to turn all the comments back on all the videos, all the tens of millions of videos they've turned off. And obviously they don't want to do that because they don't want to upset their advertisers. So we just got to get used to it, guys. It's just the way it is. No point in complaining about it. We just have to accept it. Apparently complaining about it's one of the reasons we don't have a content manager. Over 100,000 subscribers, you're supposed to have a content manager to help you out when you have a problem. But we haven't been offered that. Channels with less subscribers and less views than ours actually have content managers, but we haven't got one. So as we were told by one of the guys who does have one that we should stop criticising YouTube, is what he said. So he knows, he's talked to someone in there who's told him that we've upset somebody. So we don't care, basically. Look, you know, what the solution to it is, we'll continue to make our videos and about Japan, and like we always do. And if you guys want to comment, Patreon's great. Oh, community. On Patreon, if you want to comment on our videos or talk about our videos, Patreon's the best place to do it. And there's a community page. What's it called? Community page. The community page on Patreon, the guys have started posting all sorts of stuff on there. Some stuff's about Japan, some stuff's not. But basically, you're welcome. If you're on Patreon, you're welcome to go to the community page, and you can post photos or anything you want, pretty much, as long as it doesn't upset too many people. You're welcome to post anything you want there. It's become quite an interesting thing on there. So yeah, you're welcome to comment or talk about our videos on Patreon or on Facebook. Twitter as well, we're on Twitter as well. Links to all those underneath this video and on our channel page. So Facebook, Twitter, Patreon. We'd like to see you on Patreon because those are the guys who are keeping us going. So we'd like to see you on there. And that's all we can do, isn't it? The other thing that we always do is all our videos also get uploaded to Dailymotion, because we don't trust YouTube. You know, we imagine if anything ever happened to our channel and our channel got shut down by accident, by the system for any reason, we imagine that we'd be screwed because, you know, the creator support, obviously the creator support wouldn't do anything to help us. And so we imagine if anything happened that the system accidentally shut down our channel, that'd just be the end of it. and that, you know, we wouldn't be able to get that fixed. So for that reason, all our videos get uploaded to Dailymotion. If you haven't checked that out, it's quite interesting. You can't comment on there either. They don't have a comment section either, but the difference is that it's a French company. It's not an American company, it's a French company. So they're way more into free speech, and don't worry about the censorship or the protecting of the children and all that sort of stuff. Look, to make it clear too, by the way, our family is full of little kids and we do everything we can to protect them. Some of you know we walk our kids to school every day. One of the few families around here that would, you know, because we are into protecting the kids, you know, so we're right into protecting kids. That's just being sarcastic, because there's a lot of stuff that's done on YouTube, you know, with the excuse that it's to protect children, where we don't really think it is at all, that it's got nothing to do with protecting children. It's more about protecting YouTube's advertising and revenue, you know, and again, you know, they're a big company. You know, our criticisms of YouTube are just based on their behaviour, and we accept they're a big company. They don't need to be ethical, they don't need to be compassionate, they don't need to do anything. They're there to make money. You know, they're a big company that's out to make money. They're owned by Google, you know, it's all about making money. And any sort of image that they like to project about being kind or sweet or sensitive or anything else, you know, they're a big company. We don't expect them to be like that. We know that's just an illusion, that they try to portray that they're really kind and they care about people, but they don't. They care about revenue, don't they? And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's what big companies do. So anyway, but Dailymotion, yeah, we always post the videos on there, and that's sort of our backup. If ever we do suddenly get shut down on YouTube for some reason, because we've said something we shouldn't or whatever, we'll continue posting our videos on Dailymotion. Some people have said before, if YouTube ever shut you down, you should just start another channel on YouTube. We really don't want to start again. We've been doing this for over 10 years, posted almost 4,000 videos. You know, we've put a lot of effort into building it up. 106,000 subscribers and 93 million views our videos have had. But we don't really want to start that again. You know, if ever they did shut us down, we'd just stay on Dailymotion instead. But I mean, that's just worst case scenario, right? That's our plan B. One of our friends on Patreon was talking about our plan B system recently. We always have a plan B, you know, so that if something goes bad, that we've always got a backup plan. Ideally, and we know our patrons want us to continue posting our videos on YouTube. That's why they're supporting us, because, you know, as a viewing format, a viewing, what do you call that? YouTube is good. So, you know, a lot of people want us to stay on YouTube, and we will. We don't intend to leave, but we just don't trust them. You know, when we get these experiences, like when we contact them and tell them we've got a problem, and they don't even look. You know that guy at YouTube, Leroy, if that's his real name, it's probably an alias. We know Leroy didn't even look at our channel. He just, oh, it's about comments being turned off, I'll just send this cut and paste. You know, he didn't look at our channel. So, and we know that's the case. And it'd be the same if we got shut down. You know, we'd send an email and we'd probably get some email back saying, to protect the children, you know, something like that, right? So, anyway, there's all that. So just a quick one. If you're not supporting us on Patreon already, please have a look at our Patreon page and consider giving us some support on there. To those of you who are supporting us on Patreon, thank you very much. If you're not on there, Facebook, Twitter, the community page on Patreon, that's a couple of guys are really enjoying that, want us to sort of get the word out about that. So yeah, the community page on Patreon. There's a tab, if you go to the front page on Patreon, our page on Patreon, there's a tab that says community. Just click on that and you'll go to that and see what the guys have been posting on there. And the other one's PayPal, of course. So that's about it. So yeah, look, as far as YouTube comments, now and again you might find that you can comment, but don't take too much time to write too long a message on there, because it's just going to disappear. When they disappear, they really disappear. Whatever it is in the system that deletes them, it deletes all of them totally and stops any more comments, and we can't see what comment you've left. Once it disappears off the video, we can't see it either. It just gets wiped. So yeah, don't spend a lot of time leaving profound comments on there because they're just going to disappear. So anyway, not sure how much time's left on this. We only get 28 minutes on this camera, by the way, each video, so not sure how much time's left, but in whatever's left, please enjoy this. More videos coming soon.